Welcome back. With the mission to elevate the voices of Bronx film, Mott Haven Film Festival is an exciting initiative founded by a Hispanic woman from the South Bronx. Joining us now to tell us more is Ninoska Carolina. She is the founder and executive director of the Mott Haven Film Festival. Ninoska, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So for those who are not familiar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Mott Haven Film Festival and your mission?
Yes, of course. So I was raised in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx, right on 138th and Willis Avenue. I was there since I was basically 1 year old, and to this day, I still consider that home. I definitely am not a filmmaker, so I always wanted to make a disclaimer concerning that. On the other hand, film has always been a part of something that I grew up with, and especially due to my sister, because she's the filmmaker of the family. So I went to school in New York City. I ended up with an associate's from BMCC, a bachelor's from the City College of New York, a master's from NYU, and everything I've done so far has been communications. And in all of that, I always wanted to give back to the community, but I didn't know how to do that. I wasn't the type of person to do like soup kitchens because I always felt that that was just like a 1 day thing or kind of like a season thing. So when I got the idea to do the film festival, I knew that was the perfect direction to go into because I knew that that was the best way to give back to the community. And hence the mission of the Mott Haven Film Festival is always a line, one statement of we are Bronx based, but we are not Bronx exclusive. And and it's kind of to cater to the neighborhood. You can find practically anyone from any background, any culture in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. And that's why I decided to name it the Mott Haven Film Festival.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that background. So as you mentioned, your
Thank you.
sister is the director of the family, and she has a film. It's
Yeah.
called Sexo y Tortillas. She is the
Yes.
director and producer of this film. Her name is Priscila Alvarez. This
Yes.
film was presented at many film festivals, including the New York Latino Film Festival last year.
Yes.
Ninoska, I wanted to ask you, how did this film inspire you to create the Mott Haven Film Festival?
So, you know, we were on a plane actually, headed to LA for screening of Sexy Tortillas, and in mid conversation, I just stop and I say, "Hey, is there a film festival in the Bronx?" And she says, "Well, I don't know." And I'm like, "Well, if you're the filmmaker and you don't know that, I really don't know, right?" And that was it. So when I came back, I started doing some research, and initially, I didn't find any film festival, and I thought that that was an issue. So a few weeks go by, and I finally find um, the Bronx Film Festival, and then I also felt that they haven't like I saw like the social media stuff, like they didn't have like a big presence. So it was just like, oh my God, like this is it. Like I have to make this happen. And then of course I found the Concourse Film Festival, and then I was like, great, and the person he goes by Macho. Me and him we had a conversation through IG Live, and it was very amicable, and it was a nice conversation to have with another fellow creator of a film festival. So that was basically like the whole thing. Like I wanted the Bronx to really have like a Tribeca Film Festival of sorts. And like why not, right?
I love it because there's so many creatives here in the Bronx. We have so many
Right.
people who do and direct and do everything creatively here in the Bronx. The fact that you had to go to LA for a film festival and you thought like, wait a minute, we're from the Bronx.
Right.
My sister and I were raised here. You were born
Right.
here. You're from Mott Haven.
Right.
Why not have something here? And just a
Right.
shout out. I thought it was a beautifully directed, shot, written, comedic and cultural.
Yeah.
Beautiful story, and I just wanted to show
Yes.
it there. I know we're showing it on the screen, but shout outs to her for creating such a beautiful film. And I'm just like honored that she's from the Bronx and that you're both from the Bronx.
Right. I call it the female forward film.
I love it.
Right.
So
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how has COVID-19 impacted your plans for the Mott Haven Film Festival?
Currently, we are trying to find a venue actually, and that's due to COVID, right? Before the city shut down and before the pandemic really hit hard, I had already like signed off on a venue, right? And then I knew that COVID was around. Obviously, I was watching the news, but then I said, well, let me have a plan B just in case, right? So both my plan A and my plan B fell through. And now I was kind of like, oh man, so now what do I do? Like, do we continue planning? Like, what do we do? And the team and I, we basically have a little brainstorm and we said, no, let's continue because we don't know. The film festival is in October. Mind you, this is like early March, right? And, we just said, let's move forward. So we did, we opened up for submissions. We were, like doing stuff on live. We were doing live interviews on IG. We were doing a lot. And, just to get the word out there, we were contacting schools for film students to submit. So we were doing a lot behind the scenes just to get the word out there. And of course, everything was, either through Zoom or through email. And now that October is here, we had to make the decision to reschedule because I have made the executive decision of not having a virtual film festival, because for those that have gone to a film festival, the ambiance is completely different. Like, you want people to laugh when the director like made that line for them to laugh. So you kind of want to hear that happen. And I've seen that firsthand with my sister. And then, so I feel like it robs away from all of the hard work that the team, like the film crew team, has put in. So I don't want to do virtual, so I'm just kind of waiting it out to see when we can have it in person.
Got you.
Hopefully in December, because I want it to be like in 2020 still,
Yeah, fingers crossed on that, and best of luck.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Somehow I know that you're figuring out how to, socially distance and figure out how to bring people together during these tough times. But we definitely need to keep that creative, juice
right.
from the Bronx, keep people up and, and excited about film. Especially since, movie theaters have been closed for this long. Like, we haven't really had access to local independent films, and I would love to see. Shout out, to Macho. You mentioned the Concourse Film Festival.
Yeah.
We have BX Film 48, the Bronx Documentary Center, and so many different initiatives that are trying to keep this, the film, life alive. And the same thing with you with Mott Haven Film Festival. So thank you for what you're doing. I wanted to ask you about just the importance of local filmmaking during this pandemic and why the Bronx needs creatives to continue making film, documentaries, content, etc.
Right. So as an artist, you need to be able to take out that energy somehow, right? So let's say you're a writer. Write it out. It doesn't have to necessarily be about the pandemic, but it could be about, being stuck in the house and, I don't know, not being able to find your favorite cereal. I don't know, right? It could be about anything. So definitely, if you're a writer, you have to write. If you're a reader, you would read, right? But a filmmaker is a little bit different because you treat and you're like, oh my God, let's come up with the most grandiose story. And now you need to find a crew to direct it. And you need like a producer, you need camera people, you need all these different, a crew basically. And even if you have a skeleton crew of 2 people, like, you still need to be safe. You still need to have social distancing. If you have an actor for that, for that inspiration that you have, you need to make sure that everyone is COVID free, because you don't want the art to start like another pandemic or another cluster, as our beautiful governor calls them, right? So we do have to be careful, but at the same time, we have to continue. So if you're, into photography, just wear your mask, walk out, make sure that you're socially distanced, and just take the pictures. And for a filmmaker, just go outside to the park, again, follow the safety precautions, but see what inspires you. You have to stay in the now at the same time, but you just have to do it a little bit different than you would normally do it.
Absolutely. And I wanted to also ask you, are the submissions still open? Have they closed? If so, how many films have been submitted so far?
So submissions are closed. We did have a really nice number. Yeah. Submissions closed August 10th, I believe. It's been closed for a while. We are going to be showing 32 films, and it was a tough 32 to take. All of the movies are good in their own identity, but at the end of the day, we did have to make the cuts, and they were painful. You don't want to be the one judging those films and say this is not enough for the film festival because X, Y, and Z. Like, you never want to be the bad person. You want all the films to be selected, but unfortunately, that's not how it works.
And of course, it's trying to be here in Mott Haven section, right?
That is right. I'm trying my very best to keep it in the Mott Haven section. There is a venue right now that is in the running, and it is in the Mott Haven section. So that's definitely a contender.
Can't wait to hear more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Inoska, for being here with us today. I'm also from Mott Haven. I live on Willis Ave, right here. We're right down the block from each other.
So exactly, I bet.
Yeah. So before we go, Ninoska, how can people learn more, stay in touch, and support the Mott Haven Film Festival initiative?
So we're really big on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is Mott Haven Film Festival. Definitely, that's the main platform that we use for communication within, from us to the public and the public to us. But you can also go to our website, www.mhff.nyc.
And you have shirts, you have merch. You want to show it off real quick?
Oh, yes, of course. So I totally forgot about that. So, we have merchandise, guys. So as you can see, it says Mott Haven Film Festival. I don't know, maybe it's coming out backwards on your end. But yes, it says the Mott Haven Film Festival. And that's all of the purchases of our merchandise directly funds the Mott Haven Film Festival.
Sounds great. Thank you, Ninoska, and best of luck. Maybe some masks can come through before the film festival.
Yeah, that is something we have already discussed, my team and I, and they're being printed as we speak.
Thanks again for your time.
Oh, thank you. Have a great one.
So, folks, again, you can stay tuned for more updates on independent films and the upcoming Mott Haven Film Festival coming soon to Mott Haven here in the Bronx by going to their website at mhff.nyc. You can also follow them on social media at Mott Haven Film Festival. And that's all for our show today. Thank you for tuning in to BXRX. I'm your host, Sanji Lopez, wishing you and your family safety and wellness now and always.